everybody. Hello and welcome to this webinar. My name is Greta. I'm here with Professor Derchi, and we're going to just guide you through something very interesting about digital business. So I just let everybody enter, and in the meantime, let me share my screen. Okay. So again, a warm welcome. And today we're going to just have a webinar with Professor Derchi about leading in the digital age, so navigating the strategy in the metaverse. And it's a very interesting title. And then Professor Derchi is going to give you more details. So my name is Greta. I'm head of marketing and admissions, and Professor Derchi is area chair at OPIT for digital business. Welcome. Okay, so a few words about OPIT before I leave the floor to Francesco. So OPIT is an institution whose mission is to unlock progress and employment on a global scale. So the idea is to give everybody tier one an affordable education in the broader field of technology. And today we talk about one specific branch of technology, which is digital business. OPIT is an institution that is fully accredited at the European level, also beyond. So we are recognized in the United States and beyond. We are flexible and fully online. And as I said, our programs focus on technology, so artificial intelligence, data science, digital business, cybersecurity, and everything that is around that. And the programs have been designed to be career aligned. So that means that you will learn the skills that are required today by different companies and in different sectors where technology applies. We are online, so there is a distance learning, but the support is always available from the coordinators, from the professors, from tutors, career service. And finally, we are inclusive as much as possible and affordable at the same time. One key strength is our faculty, starting from the rector, Professor Profumo, who has been Minister of Education in Italy and also Dean and Rector at Politecnico di Torino. And all the professors here, just a sample that you see here, they either come from academia or from the business. So it's a mix of professionals coming from companies such as Amazon, Microsoft, even NASA, Morgan Stanley, etc., and professor coming from the academia, but it's applied research they do. So, for instance, we were just discussing with Francesco about the what he does. He is in a lot of committee and boards where he discuss about digital business with different organizations and companies. But now, without any further ado, I'm just going to leave the floor to Francesco for his webinar, for his masterclass. And then after that, we can continue about OPIT.
Thank you, Greta. Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. I hope you can hear me well. If so, please let me know.
Yes.
I am also sharing my screen. Just give me a little second. So, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, I see it. Like it's not full slides. Okay, now it is.
It should
Perfect.
be now. Okay, very nice. So thank you very much, and stick with us. Now, what we're going to explore in this masterclass, it's going to be the focus on the topic of the metaverse. And in particular, we're going to evolve our notion of metaverse into exploring the case of a company. In this case, it's Nike, which has decided to take a hard path into the new digital concept and to explore this and to perform a specific positioning. And this is the area where we're going to evolve our study for the day. So starting with the definition of the metaverse per se, we are going to provide a definition of it, and then we're going to explore and take the lead from the firm level. So how to start? I'm sure that if I would ask you participants what the metaverse is, I will receive somehow a sort of response around the topic that you can see in my slide here. Something that will recall what Mark Zuckerberg published in 2021, a letter in which he was focusing and declaring exactly there was a new idea behind Facebook. This idea was something that led the company Facebook to change name and to create a new identity in a way, right? This starts with the fact that we are at the beginning of a new chapter for the internet. and it's the next chapter for our company too. So this idea of the end of an era and the beginning of another era that reminds a little bit of a wave. In recent decades, technology has given people the power to connect and express ourselves more naturally. And so then he started talking about what happened on the web, on Facebook, which was taking over the model of websites into something as a social network. And then he finally opens up for what we somehow consider more and more being the metaverse. The next platforms will be even more immersive. So there is a logic of immersion, an embodied internet where you are in the experience, not just looking at it. So it's something that has to do more with behaving than just observing and interacting at a surface level. We call this the metaverse, and it touches every product we build. So very interestingly, this idea of putting all the effort of the entire Facebook company into this direction was somehow interpreted and embedded into the statement. Our overarching goal is to help bring the metaverse to life. Now, what is also interesting about this all-in, some kind of bet that we can say Mr. Zuckerberg did, was also the message that the metaverse is a place, it's a digital place that will be participated. So the statement, the metaverse and how we will build it together, reveals the fact that there is a very strong concept of co-creation. So it's the platform provided by Facebook, and it's the co-creation, the building together that is required by the users when they access and enter. Regardless all the strategic implication that we will explore after, what is interesting to see is that this move was meant to anticipate a new emerging wave of technology and multiple set of different ways of wave of technology in order to ultimately anticipate possible user behavior, which was not even fully original in a way, because the concept of metaverse per se comes from a 1992 dystopian novel from Neil Stephenson, Snow Crash. Here, in fact, we have specific digital avatars that are used by users to navigate this world, which was also related to weather and a lot of exploration around it. But if we look into today's times, a lot of what we could consider metaverse in our general perspective, it is now lived with other platforms. So somehow, even when Mr. Zuckerberg was revealing a metaverse to happen, to be built, something that we could consider metaverse was already here. One example is the presence of Second Life. Second Life 10 years ago and more, around 2015 and 14, was a platform of great contribution where people could use avatars that were not even associated with real human beings. You could change your name, you could change your look, you could change your style. And now stayed as a relatively niche type of environment, still active for his own 200,000 daily users, which are having their own digital life over there. Similarly, as if we're talking about something completely different, is the idea of Minecraft. Now, I'm sure that some of you have played with Minecraft. You guys know what Minecraft is. First of all, it's a gaming platform, so we're talking about something completely different, and it is also a platform that involves dynamics that are very powerful, like decentralization, so participation of users that are creating pieces in the space of Minecraft. Recently, McDonald's has been a main sponsor of the Minecraft great marketing initiative. We know there is a movie out there. There are several expositions in London. There is a very big exposition about Minecraft now on. So there's a big movement around it. Ultimately, we're talking about 204 million active users per month and about 1 million players on an hourly basis that are competing and fighting on Minecraft. So if the metaverse is already here with us, what is the energy that led the Facebook to enter and to change all in for it? What is the real threat or the real opportunity here? Another great company that has been leveraging some of the dynamics of this digital world in order to amplify its position in the digital space is Microsoft. From The Verge, which is a digital media, in 2021, there was a great statement that Microsoft will become the world's third largest gaming company by revenue, behind Tencent and Sony. So you can imagine already a conglomerate that is already owning some of the digital business per se, had this great intention to empower even more its space of gaming, to provide even more dynamics like the one that we're talking about when we talk about the metaverse. And so the idea of Microsoft acquiring Activision Blizzard was a deal that ultimately led to $75 billion. The idea of it was exactly to create a space for users to own one off single sign-on identity and then to play with different games within the same profile. So the idea of an ecosystem where Microsoft provides you and the Xbox overall provides you the core, and every different game can be an application of this core provider. Another space still on the Microsoft side was the use of the word metaverse when the Xbox 20th anniversary happened, and it was created a metaverse museum. So users could go and see how they have been behaving and how the game has behaved with all the different users, winners, and so forth, all in the same spot. So why are we exploring this all? Because if we talk about the metaverse, associating it with Facebook only, and we assume that Facebook wanted to own the entire topic, somehow we only have a partial view of the setting. The setting is much bigger than that. And the setting was, like we saw with the gaming space, with the different type of games, and other type of platforms like Second Life, we see much bigger penetration, much bigger set of behaviors that we could call metaverse, rather than simply talking about one of the Microsoft, sorry, the Facebook life. But ultimately, the real truth, it's even harder than that. So what we saw is not even that. This is exactly 2 years after the announcement of this great acquisition. Microsoft laid off 1,900 Activision Blizzard and Xbox workers, which basically it was a huge cut of the gaming division. That was to show that actually this great inflated dream of the metaverse didn't really go through on a win logic. And similarly to that, also Meta suffered from the same dynamic. Now this is announced another 10,000 layoffs, falling on this dynamic. So great promises, not the necessarily revealing and performing. And then what is also very interesting is that because of this repositioning movement, the Meta itself somehow did a step backward from these great promises. This is in the same conference 2 years after, in the Connect 23, they changed completely the narrative. Now the company is still called Meta, but the narrative is now about expanding reality today and tomorrow. So the company provided more emphasis on hardware. This is a case for the MetaQuest. The other case is for the Ray-Ban Meta. So we're talking about new generation of devices. There is a sort of experience there, but it is much less related to this digital world to be co-created together. So we are changing, we're shifting strategic focus. There are multiple reasons for that, but I want to provide you with one. This is a review that happened about the dream of the metaverse. It was talking about broken metaverse. So the dream of metaverse is broken. It's not really an exciting space. It's more like a glitchy, incomplete cluster of experiences. And so they reveal from these reviews flaws when it comes to the experience itself. So you promise something that has to go with the experience, but then you're not able to deliver the experience. And this is where we see a lot of issues in the penetration. Similarly, I also like to take this angle, the angle of the analyst. This is Gartner, the technology analyst company. They talk about the metaverse eventually becoming relevant again in a decade from now. So the idea for the technology to become mature enough and to get a penetration, stability, and profit, productivity when it comes to its application cannot be foreseen in less than 10 years. So what can we learn from this first block of content? First of all, we have seen that there's a lot of big tech investment, great media buzz related to the big tech companies promising and investing into this new keyword, in this new promise. No great adoption rate that followed, which made it, which was the reason why layoffs happened. And the review about this was mainly related to technology issues. In fact, if we believe that profitability could come only in 10 years from now, the question about the metaverse being just a dream revolve easily. Is it really true? Is it just a dream? So this is the first where we're landing. Now, in the second part of the presentation, now we're going to try to give some definition of metaverse, and we try to explore what that means from a technological perspective, being living in the metaverse, and what does it mean from a user behavior perspective. So Matthew Ball, 2022, in this very renowned book, The Metaverse and How It Will Revolutionize Everything. Typically, we see business books always coming out with very big titles and emphasis on the idea they try to sell. A massively scaled and interoperable network of real-time rendered 3D virtual worlds that can be experienced synchronously and persistently by an effectively unlimited number of users, with an individual sense of presence and continuity of data like identity, history, entitlements, objects, communication, and payments. So this is a quite long and eventually complex definition, but what do we take from it that it really is really important for us, it matters for us? First of all, the metaverse involves some interoperability. So we need to understand what interoperability means for us. Second, it involves virtual worlds, which are 3D. So you have a 3D technology, immersive technology for a virtual world. And that is something quite important because we are now defining it as a separate place from the physical world. But at the same time, we need to have an individual sense of presence, which is typical of the human touch, the real world, and some technological issues or technological engagement implications, data continuity, identity, history, entitlements. Imagine like a single sign-on, a single account where you register your access and you can operate into all these different logics and all the data remain with you. This is interoperability, being able to interact with one specific interface, and within this interface being able to move from platform to platform, from game to game, from a shopping experience to a gaming experience, from a virtual touristic platform that allows you to walk, to explore the Colosseum and Venice, staying seated on your bed, and then at the same time switching into a shop and order food, and as you wait for your food to be delivered home, to move into a gaming platform to play some Pokemon. Whatever you expect to do in this world of fantasy that is only connected to you through the digital, the important point of it is should be related to preserving the identity, keep assets and collectibles, meaning that your virtuous behaviors in the digital world should allow you to hold these assets that you have gained and to keep them in your profile. And finally, that would also happen to be able from your side to participate in different activities, like we said. So what is this? The best way to see it, to interpret it, is the way of calling it an open garden model. It's an open garden, right? You are enjoying your garden without the limitation that typically exists in the digital space. Now, the most similar, let's call it this way, the most similar set of environments where this happens is the gaming world. So if you may, when you want to explore what is happening nowadays that could be sort of let's call it simulation or anticipation of the best metaverse, we need to look into gaming world. And the gaming world, typically, you organize it around the value proposition. So single user versus multi-users. And of course, we know multi-users has been booming with a lot of involvement when it comes to community gathering and community initiatives. That is a very strong killer application. And then there is a great dynamic of the real versus fictional world. Now, in this space of real versus fictional world, we play a lot of cards when it comes to the dynamics of the metaverse, to the creation of new user and behavioral needs that are the trigger for people to start using metaverse and similarities. So, for example, if I look into the very strong case of Roblox, the famous Adopt Me game, yeah, we're talking about a game that managed to get to 30 billion and counting visits in 2022, 1.6 million concurrent players at the same time. No, we're talking about some events that, in terms of magnitude and penetration, they are basically unique, like no one event in the world so far, which means that there are certain premises of collective participation. This is an example of the same game, Adopt Me, for the ones that believe that it was just a local or a kids phenomena. You can see the Happy Meal having leveraged Adopt Me and made it a game, like they were doing before with Mickey Mouse in the Disney co-marketing, right? So now the co-marketing from Happy Meal is with gaming platforms, Roblox, Minecraft, as I explained you before. This provides you the idea of how big and relevant it is from a cultural point of view, this type of initiative. But next to that, I really personally like a lot the case for Pokemon Go, because Pokemon Go allows us to reflect on the idea of this real-time ongoing participation, collaboration through digital media, like no one here. And this is, I like the Niantic perspective on it, very, very provocative, like he always is, very smart, very provocative. The idea that use Pokemon Go because the metaverse is already here and it's full of Pokemon, and it's not as meta, which is a dystopian nightmare, right? So don't go for the bad of it, stay in the good of it. The positive of it is in gaming. So play and be part of it, right? This is crazy numbers of the Pokemon Go. I'm sure you have seen someone, or maybe yourself, walking around and shooting and looking for the Pokemon in the real world. This crazy collective phenomenon is also very interesting from a strategic perspective, because it allows us to see the evolution of the setting of participation, where in the internet, as we used to know it, we could consider a world that is no more no less of the world of information and content, and this is the internet of the social media, and this is exactly what has been established in the last 20 years, 15, 20 years. But now what is opening up is the metaverse opportunity. So it's the world, the new world, let's say, this is how they perceived the world of experiences and activities. So it's a sort of expansion of possibilities. In fact, Professor Sonny from Kellogg University in Chicago, the Kellogg Business School, a three-dimensional digital environment, this is the new metaverse, that uses AR, VR, blockchain, and social media to create immersive user experiences that mimic and extend the real world. So the premise is that we have the same behavior that mimic the real world, but we're doing it through an extended set of technologies. So AR, VR, blockchain, social media. As all of them come together, the combination of this all is one big user experience that is immersive. Pretty interesting, because if you combine this with what we saw before, so this idea of a world of activities and experiences, what do we see? We see a combination of behaviors, and this is the part where the digital strategy comes along. So what the behaviors that we want to leverage, because this is where the money are, the market, the users' behaviors, with the technology side. So what do we need? to be built in order to exploit that. So we have activities, experiences that are done in immersive places. So you need interfaces that allows users to access these immersive places and to have these immersive experiences. Second, there is a creator economy that craft activities and experiences. So you need the user's participation. This is all about Roblox, is all about Minecraft and so forth. And for that, you need to create and cultivate a community. You need to leverage on the opportunities of a crowd. There is a lot of users that might not stay with you forever, but they're coming just for a little bit, for picking a little bit, for participating into a little something. So this little bit of money, it's the idea of a crowd. And next to that, there is also the logic of engagement, because we need to imagine that the activities and experiences are designed for the opportunity for owning assets and for trading assets. So this set of commercial part is enforcing the engagement dynamic. So these three elements is what we're going to explore in the case study that we'll see. So what is the second pillar of learning we have seen? That there is clearly a fragmented scenario of different closed garden platforms. All the gaming platforms, they play with different roles. And there are certain very interesting cases. There is a limited participation, but there is an interesting adoption curve, typically done from the lower part. So typically it's leveraged by the young generation who are playing the game. So there is a growing fan base that is happening there. Because of this technology convergence, we can see interfaces mobile using gaming in the real world, so matching the two events. And because of that, there is a logical focus on activities and experiences, which is what we are going to explore now in the case study. And so what do we see? As we started with a very big deception phase, now we see that there might be from a dream to a reality. What is the reality? So let's open the third part. And in the third part, we explore the reality from the perspective of a company. It's not just a company. We're talking about Nike. Nike in 2021, early 2022, they decided to explore and take the decision to own the space of digital experiences as it was needed. So the idea that the need was coming out for a very specific reason, which I will explain you in a second. And because of that, they started putting together a set of initiatives that was very structured, following a specific strategic dynamic. So I'm going to explain to you the strategic dynamic behind the leverage and the penetration of the Nike. So first of all, okay, we're talking about collaboration on different platforms that we're going to explain. Fortnite being one, Roblox being second, but also the fact that Nike decided to go full on acquiring a company that was specialized in digital economy called Artifact. So what is the dynamic that we should look into? So the first, there are 4 layers that Nike followed in order to go into the dynamic. So protect, expand, join, expand. So the idea here is that because the internet, it's a market of creators, and because new spaces are based on participation and creativity, there will be no possibility for any brand, Nike included, to stop counterfeiting, to stop using brands that are relevant for users, and to limit the fact that users will be using these brands. So because you are a cultural fit brand for the generation that is on the metaverse, you must find a strategy that takes advantage of it and not limit, because there is no way that you can limit such a big wave of participation of user-generated content and so forth. So the reason why Nike decided to start was leveraging the opportunity to protect the brand also in the metaverse space, the digital space in a broader sense. And this is what happens by engaging and subscribing for a bigger trademark application for defending the brand. It was not even one brand only, it was a set of different brands. It was the swoosh, Nike as a name, the swoosh independent, the Just Do It, the Jordan logo, and so forth. But next to that, we can find a set of specific goals that has been strategically designed to expand, join, explore, are in fact the three-step progressive steps that the company decided to go into from a very strong strategic approach. So typically, expand the brand in the metaverse means to focus on the horizon one, to generate the demand. How can we leverage on the existing demand for Nike that is living the metaverse in order to support the Nike brand or already in the short term? Horizon one, how to generate the demand. Can we make money into the metaverse? Can we explore the possibility to remunerate the metaverse? This is one. The second step, very interesting, is related to the brand building. Nike is a brand company. And so brand building is about creating the connection between the user and the emotional part of the product, not just the product itself. So how do we do it? Can we use the metaverse for joining the dynamic of the metaverse in order to build brand? And third one, can we use the metaverse as a possible space where future revenue streams might happen, where the exploration of new opportunities could happen? These three elements, these dynamics are very different one another. In fact, as we can see, first of all, they imply different impacts. For example, there is a revenue impact in the horizon one and a short-termism in the approach, which is very different from what is in the perception, brand relationship and emotion, which is very different from the innovation side of the horizon number three. And so the time horizon is also different. So in order to expand the potential of each of those, they have been progressing in a very specific way. So goal number one, create a fit and try to explore the demand in the market. So in 2021, Nike launched an agreement with Fortnite, launched a set of clothes, shoes, the Air Jordan 1S plus a green and clutch outfit, the one that you can see here, for sale on Fortnite. The price was 1.8 V-Bucks. So the purpose was, let's try and see if we can make money out of it. Now, as this initiative had a relative success, the step forward was to leverage on the next level in the space, in the same platform, with the launch in a much more structured and emotional, powerful way. So it's sort of, the prototype went well, let's see what we can do next. The launch of the Air Max. The Fortnite became the platform where the Air Max could find their own identity online. This is a very interesting example because the entire language for the brand was created. The brand Air Max, which has his own style, his own tone of voice, his own visual enforcement, his own power, was basically amplified in the Fortnite world with the creation of the Airforia Island. This is the Airforia Island. As you can see, it's a place where if you are users of Fortnite, you know that this is a total fighting arena. So the Airforia was an island where users could browse around, participate into the setting of the area, with the idea that it was representing the values of Nike and the values of Air Max overall. This came along with a narrative, which is the one that I'm going to show you, a very interesting narrative that implied a search hunt and some dynamic of fighting already, all lived with specific Air Max identity characters. So the characters that we see here, the story we see here, is the result of this very interesting strategy. So as you can see, this is a trailer to launch the entire hunting game opportunity, which was coming on with let's look around and let's collect the different pieces and credits that will allow us to gain access to the product that we can buy. And this is exactly how you explore for new innovation, but also how you connect with the users with your brand building, and not only about how you sell. So this is how they leverage and they pushed for the Fortnite digital sneakers launch. Second very important point, Nike decided to get together with an existing company, a company of Web3 creators, of NFTs creators. The company was a French, a Parisian, from Paris originally, company called Artifact. Artifact was a company of creators which was famous because they were launching NFTs of existing customized shoes, you collaborating with very interesting artists, Japanese artists, contemporary artists. And so this idea of performing some digital collectibles made Nike understand that the market was not only about gamers who could buy, but it was also a market of collectors in the digital space. So the experience of collecting in the digital space could be leveraged also to a very strong point of exploiting the maximum of it. Typically, scarcity, right? So you have a limited amount of items, drops, and you have these drops, you can make the price of the specific shoes grow high because they are a special limited edition drop. Next to that, what is very interesting is that Nike decided to buy this company. So there was an acquisition in December 2021. It was commented by John Donahoe as another step to accelerate Nike digital transformation, which could be discussed by multiple perspectives ultimately, because the entire Nike strategy, the global strategy, was not successful, and Donahoe was then put aside. But what is interesting to see is that when it comes to the Web3, the logic of buying Artifact and creating a team in New York that could work on the NFT from that perspective was there to leverage the perspective that digital users potentially will spend more time online than offline. Digital users will have social relationship more online than offline. And so their digital appearance, digital look, and digital fashion will be more important than the real life fashion. And so regardless of how they are dressed in the real world, their digital the digital look will have to be neat and cool. And this is where Artifact operates. The launch of the first crypto kick, in fact, was exactly heading into this direction. This is Nike's Air Force One collection with Takashi Murakami, which was a very famous Japanese designer. Very interestingly, all these shoes, they also come along with the specific vials. So you can also, there is also a logic of collecting the tools that can customize the shoes experiences per se. Each of them comes with a specific NFT video. So there is a big visibility experience behind it. It's not just having tools, and that's why that creates this extra layer of all 3D, of course, as the Metaverse language requires to do. To close this specific area, they also created a Swoosh.Nike platform for allowing all collectors to come together and to display their tools, because they realized that there was a lot of abundance of different possible tools that could be exploited per se. And so what we can see in this second layer is that we had the possibility on one side to market shoes, and here is the $10,000 drop that they made in terms of shoes, which made them basically account for the 60% of the digital fashion market. A great move already for the horizon number one. But then there was clearly an incentive idea to create a great brand building connection with the very warm vial collectible for the Murakami and everything related to the brand building for the bonding between the brand and the user, like let's collect from great artists. And finally, also, why not the possibility to launch new platforms? So this is about innovation. What could be the economy of the future? Would it be a creator economy where you own the platform, where the creators meet and does the trading of their digital assets. That could be a possibility that they are exploring. So next to that, the final case that we are exploring now is the case for Nike Land. Nike Land is another attempt for Nike to penetrate and consolidate the market of digital uh, economy. We're talking about Roblox. We're talking about 70.2 million daily users and more than 200 million to 16 million active users on a monthly basis. So as we see, we are very much aligned with the numbers of Minecraft and also Fortnite. So we're seeing the major platforms out there. Here they decided to play a very different platform. The platform operates with this very simple yet nice look of sort of Lego type of design, and so and it's also a gaming platform per se. So kids and the participants uh, have the possibility to stay on the Nike Land and play soccer in the free kick frenzy, play basketball in the air dunk legends, stay in the street space and do the boombox boogie, or skating in the swoosh city. Yeah. And next to that, there is also an interesting Nike store where you can play, make points, and earn or buy with the Robux currency, buy gears. And so you can customize your profile by adding Nike assets like the Air Max here that you can see within the same logic. So again, also in this case, Nike Land is a great example for something like, let's generate demand. Let's try to make sales by selling with Robux. It's about involving the users into staying in a gaming zone that involve and engage into brand building. And next to that, why not? It's about testing new dynamics for economy. And why not? Why not Nike becoming a gaming company in the future, right? So we don't know. What is for sure is that we have learned in this class, there is a long and a short dynamic that involves metaverse per se, right? First of all, there is not one, there are many metaverses at the same time, right? So it's the idea that different digital platforms are growing, involves the possibility for creating value at multiple level in different settings. And also we have seen that because of this, because this is possible in multiple platforms, that comes along with a lot of different creators that are participating in this game. And so the innovation is not top down, but it involves the participation. On the other side, there are also some dilemmas. For example, which platform to go? No, is it good to follow the trend of today? But what about the future presence? No, can you stay relevant considering the future presence also? How can you stay relevant on top of the game? There is clearly the appetite, but it's also risky to invest a lot of money without testing. We saw that Nike for Fortnite, they tried with something smaller before going full on into the Air Force Island. There is a logic of gatekeeper versus owned platform. Do you want to build your own island, or do you want to stay in the Roblox setting where things are relatively at ease? No, there is less marketing to be done than to generate traffic into it. And finally, the last point that I wanted to raise with you before thanking you for your participation is the fact that being in the digital space, being in the metaverse involves technology. So investing in technology and becoming technology proficient when it comes to teams. That's why Nike had to buy Artifact. But at the same time, it's about culture. You cannot have one without the other. And the more we go on through markets and observation, the more this fascinating space of technology and culture matching is the real area where value can be created. Thank you very much for your participation. Greta, I think my time has come.
Yes, thank you. That was very interesting. We were actually, there was a question before we started this webinar, so I'm just gonna pose it to you. It was really about the metaverse. So is the metaverse still on? So you explained it very well now, probably that the concept of metaverse has changed completely from what it was at the beginning. So it was a question from a participant saying, but is this still valid to invest in the metaverse?
But I somehow maybe I try to answer this question already.
Yeah, during, yes.
The short answer could be, where are your users?
Mm-hmm.
Where are your users? Are your users evolving and switching into new platforms? So, and how old are your users? So
Mm.
your brand is dealing with. We see more and more attempt of brands that must start talking to younger user groups because they must rejuvenate in order to stay relevant. And because now we're talking about a global audience, this is a great challenge.
Yes.
So in this logic, the metaverse become relevant not because it's meta intended like the Facebook meta, but is the
Yes, exactly. That's,
is
I think that's the confusion.
that is the good of it also, you know.
Mm-hmm.
This is where we see the most exciting innovations. We see collectibles, we see NFTs of creators.
NFTs. Mm-hmm.
A lot of creativity is happening around it. That's why I think it's very important to understand this logic of technology. It's very important. So we need to develop, but
Yes.
culture is what is also becoming more and more relevant. This is where my part of the teaching comes from, right?
Okay. No, thank you. It's just that because it was a doubt from someone, just like, but what? And then you explained it very well during the webinar anyway. Thank you so much, Francesco.